Hey VC, how you doing? I'm about to make another Beatles update video. A few of these albums have been seen recently in another one of my videos, but I wanted to have them all here collected in the Beatles video itself. So I'm going to start by saying, vinyl addiction, as a lot of you know, is a really tough thing to resist. In my life, I've never really had an addiction, okay? I've never smoked in my life. I only drink very rarely at, a party or a social gathering or something like that, and I'm not a gambler or anything. In my whole life, I've always gotten myself up and, excited about my collections. Whether I've collected music, I'm also a movies fan. I have a lot of DVDs, and I'm a big movie buff. I've always gotten a high, if you will, on my collection, but there's a downside to that, as we all know. Sometimes the urge to buy new vinyl and go poking around in garage sales and thrift stores and record stores is a little too much. But anyway, that brings me to recently, where it just so happens that, we all know that times are tough, and right now is a little bit rough with money, but still, when I have the call, I have to try to find a way to make ends meet and somehow pay the bills, but also buy the records. And against my better judgment recently, this is some of the Beatles finds that I got. This one I showed. This is start with 1967 to 1970. This is I think it's a French import, right? And it's on blue vinyl. So I'll just pull that out. I had red vinyl once upon a time, no more, but I'll have to get that one again, get it back. But finally, I've got myself at least one copy on blue. Now, I don't know how many countries there are out there that made blue vinyl Beatles 67 to 70s album, but I have no intention of getting all of them. At least that's what I say now, right? You know how that goes. Okay, this is a really cool looking cover, I thought. It's nothing really exceptional as far as the music. It's the usual Beatles featuring Tony Sheridan. It's got all the Tony Sheridan songs on here, and it's got the Beatles doing Ain't She Sweet and Cry for a Shadow, which is great. If some of you younger fans out there haven't heard these sessions here, you should listen to Cry for a Shadow. It's the only John Lennon, George Harrison instrumental. It's basically like a guitar, I don't know what you call it, a guitar free-for-all with, John and George on guitar. It's really great. But anyway, this is from Bulgaria, this album. It's a Bulgarian import, and you can only have so many of these. I mean, these sessions have been repeated and repressed in so many forms, but I usually get it if it's a different cover that's interesting. Here's an old rarity that I had once upon a time, and I was able to get this again. This is Watching Rainbows. Oh, you know what? Come to think of it, I don't think I ever had this particular album in my old collection. So this is actually a new find for me. I don't think I had this one. Anyway, it's Watching Rainbows. It's more Let It Be, sessions, the sessions that would come known as a Let It Be album. Some good stuff on here. A lot of these Get Back sessions, when you play them, a lot of them are kind of the same thing you hear over and over, and they're just fragments of songs, pieces of songs. But to have these kind of albums where we got like more or less concise songs, where not just so much a lot of endless jamming, but some complete bits. There's a good version of Mean Mr. Mustard on here. There's a good version of All Things Must Pass on here, and some others. Okay. Oh. Another one that I got recently was this one, The Beatles in Italy, which is not a live album. This is not the Beatles live. This is, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's an actual legitimate release or a counterfeit or what it is. But it's got a lot of good tracks on here in very good sound quality. Stuff like Long Tall Sally, She's a Woman, Matchbox, For Me to You, I Want to Hold Your Hand, Ticket to Ride, This Boy, Slow Down, I Call Your Name, Yes It Is, and I Feel Fine. It's very John heavy on this album, for John fans like me out there. John's my favorite Beatle, I should. I don't think I ever mentioned that, did I? Well, I'm mentioning it now. John Lennon was my favorite Beatle, is my favorite Beatle. And if you're a John fan, there's a lot of good vocals by him on here, and one from Ringo, Matchbox. Okay, the cover is great on this. I like it for the cover alone. I love that photo. And then okay, that was forgot to mention that was one day where I got lucky and I found all those albums, in just one day. And then I went back later the same day, and I guess they hadn't put in all their new acquisitions out because I found this. I needed Beatles for sale, and I have to say I don't know about these albums, the UK albums. I never know if it's an original or not. I mean, it's not an original from '64, I'm sure of that. But I mean, as far as like the 1970s, even I don't want to be getting albums that are, the new ones that have just been pressed in 2012. And the album slides in here, so I'm pretty sure this is a 70s reissue. You can let me know, and it's got this label on it, so I would like to know. I know a lot of stuff about the Beatles, obviously, but sometimes I get a little tricked up. And last, for the albums, I wanted to show you this. I found this sealed. I went back and the Beatles Christmas album. I had this album years and years ago, and now I got it back. It was sealed, never opened. It's all their Christmas messages, and I hope a lot of you out there have heard these. Every year the Beatles did for their fan club funny Christmas messages, and they're all collected here in one album, which is really good. I recommend this around the holidays for anybody. It's a lot of fun. And then, I don't know when it was, a day or two later, I had the itch again. I shouldn't have gone back to the store, but I did. And he had these EPs there, my guy at the store, and I really didn't want to buy them, but I found a way. In fact, I had to go home and try to figure a way to either get some cash together to get these, or maybe to make a trade with the guy. And I finally arrived at something, and I was able to get the Beatles hits. Twist and Shout. These are all UK EPs. What did I call this? The Beatles hits? This one's just called the Beatles #1, right? Beatles #1. This one is called the Beatles hits. Which is very nice. Mono. All these in mono. I don't know if they came from the mono set. I don't know if these are originals. I don't know. And the Beatles Yesterday. Always love this cover. And that's it for now. This is all I've got. Okay, by the way, I just want to remind you again, I have a contest going on for my 100 subs. It's a Beatles contest. Look at my video number 24 down below for details. And maybe you can win a Beatles prize.